sure gets people stirred up.
You and me've seen a dozen race baiters come and go. They're all the same.
He took 34% of the vote in Wisconsin.
A fluke.
He's running a solid campaign in Indiana. A lot of our friends, yours and mine, like what he has to say.
You're talking about Strom Thurmond? I hear the good senator from South Carolina is talking about switching parties, becoming a Republican.
That's just strong being strong.
When we get to Atlantic City, I will be the Democratic nominee.
But how damaged will you be?
I'll be plenty strong enough for Goldwater in November.
What if Bobby smells blood in the water and decides to run at the last minute? You remember how those Kennedys did you 3 years ago?
That little shit doesn't have his brother's balls.
He still has his daddy's money. You might win the nomination, but if the party splits, all Wallace has got to beat you with is this damn civil rights bill, and I don't, for the life of me, know why you're giving him this issue.
At this point, I'm more worried about the liberals than I am about the Dixiecrats. We have to give them something this time, Dick. You know that.
You have to look like you're giving them something. All I'm saying is, don't work quite so hard to get this bill out of the House. If the leadership over there can't do their job, that's no reflection on you, is it?
I'll do what I can. Lyndon, you're going to talk poor Uncle Dick to death, and here Zephyr's made him his favorite dinner, and it's getting cold.
Saved by the bell. Bird, you look beautiful, as always.
And you're a terrible liar, as always.
Politicians curse. Well then, he sure gets people stirred up.
You and me seen a dozen race baiters come and go, and they're all the same.
He took 34% of the vote in Wisconsin.
A fluke.
He's running a solid campaign in Indiana. A lot of our friends, yours and mine, like what he has to say.
Are you talking about Strom Thurmond? I hear the good senator from South Carolina is talking about changing parties, becoming a Republican.
That's just strong being strong.
When we get to Atlantic City, I will be the Democratic nominee.
But how damaged will you be?
I'll be plenty strong enough for Goldwater in November.
What if Bobby smells blood in the water and decides to run at the last minute? You remember how those Kennedys did you 3 years ago?
That little shit doesn't have his brother's balls.
He still has his daddy's money. You might win the nomination, but if the party splits, all Wallace has got to beat you with is this damn civil rights bill, and I don't for the life of me understand why you want to give him this issue.
At this point, I'm more worried about the liberals than the Dixiecrats. We have to give them something this time, Dick. You know that.
You have to look like you're giving them something. All I'm saying is, don't work quite so hard to get this bill through the House. If the leadership over there can't do their job, that's no reflection on you, is it?
I'll do what I can. Lyndon, you're going to talk poor Uncle Dick to death, and here's Zephyr made him his favorite dinner, and it's getting cold.
Saved by the bell. Bird, you look beautiful, as always.
And you're a terrible liar, as always.
Politicians curse.
Trust LBJ, he's one of us.
He cut voting rights, didn't he?
But he didn't kill the bill.
One step at a time.
He threatened me with my goddamn committee chairmanship. Did you know he was going to do that?
Lyndon can overreact at times. That's no excuse, mind you, but let's be honest. Is this the first time a civil rights bill's made it through the House? Don't worry, the president will be there when we need him.
All I know is the Republican nominees on this bill are a lot closer to my position than the Democratic nominee. Presumptive Democratic nominee.
Now that's just foolishness talking.
Wallace took a third of the vote in Wisconsin and Indiana, and he's running strong in Maryland.
That's like a tick on the hind end of a mule thinking he's in charge. Lyndon Johnson is going to be the Democratic nominee come Atlantic City. And don't talk to me strong about Barry Goldwater. He is no friend of the South.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
The Republican Party is never going to be a friend of the South. Goldwater's opposed to Social Security and farm supports. You think your people are going to like that? All right, so the bill goes to the Senate. So what? As long as we stick together, we'll be fine. They still have to get the bill out of Jim's committee. How many civil rights bills have you buried in the last 10 years?
121.
Has your graveyard got room for one more?
I'm digging a hole as we speak.
All right then.
But what if Lyndon gets it out of committee and onto the Senate floor? What then?
Then we'll filibuster it, Strom, like we've done 1,000 times before. It won't take much, not with a national election coming up and everyone needing to get home to his campaign. I believe public opinion is already turning against this bill, particularly in the North, with these riots.
Trust LBJ. He's one of us.
He cut voting rights, didn't
But
he?
he didn't kill the bill, did he?
One step at a time.
He threatened me with my goddamn committee chairmanship. Did you know he was going to do that?
Lyndon can overreact at times. That's no excuse, mind you, but let's be honest. Is this the first civil rights bill to make it through the House? Trust me, the president will be there when we need him.
All I know is the Republican nominee's views on this bill are a whole lot closer to my position than the Democratic nominee. Presumptive Democratic nominee.
That's just foolishness talking.
Wallace took 1/3 of the vote in Wisconsin, Indiana, and he's running strong in Maryland.
That's like a tick on the hind end of a mule thinking he's in charge. Lyndon Johnson is going to be the Democratic nominee come Atlantic City. And don't talk to me, Strom, about Barry Goldwater. That man is no friend of the South.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
The Republican Party is never going to be a friend of the South. Goldwater's opposed to Social Security and farm supports. You think people are going to like that? All right, so the bill goes to the Senate. So what? As long as we stick together, we'll be fine. They still got to get the bill out of Jim's committee. How many civil rights bills have you buried in the last 10 years?
121.
Has your graveyard got room for one more?
I'm digging a hole as we speak.
All right then.
But what about Lyndon? What if he gets it out of committee and to the Senate floor? What then?
Then we'll filibuster it strong like we've done 1,000 times before. It won't take much. Not with a national election coming up and everybody knowing they need to get home to his campaign. I think public opinion is already turning against this bill, particularly in the North, what with the riots.
Bird has me on a diet. Got Zephyr in there, in the kitchen weighing my plate before every meal. Ridiculous. Pork chops are just to put gravy on. Without gravy, what's the point? You know what I mean? Might as well eat cardboard.
Your wife just doesn't want to see you get too big for your britches. An entirely understandable concern.
I think I'll see how Zephyr's coming with his cobbler.
Pretty slick what you did with Jim's committee getting that bill out.
Everything I know, I learned from you, Dick.
I also taught you something about party loyalty.
Party's changing. We got to change with it. This younger generation is not going to fall on their swords for segregation. They want to get reelected. If you think they'll stick with you to the end, you'll be disappointed.
If you think all Southerners are going to start dancing to your tune, you're the one who's going to be disappointed. Wallace almost won Maryland.
But he didn't.
But he almost did. Times are changing, but maybe not the way you think.
Doesn't have to be this way, Dick.
You're thinking you can cut a deal with Dirksen, aren't you?
If you filibuster the Senate, what choice do you leave me? Allow the bill to come to a vote.
A Democratic president ignoring his own party and making a deal with Senate Republicans.
Now don't get all high and mighty with me. You and those conservative Republicans have been cutting deals for years. That's how you denutted every civil rights bill that's come down the pike. But now I can't cross the aisle. We don't have to fight, Dick.
Some people will eventually yield to overwhelming force and quit fighting. I won't.
I'm coming for you, Dick. I love you more than my own daddy. But you get in my way, I will crush you.
I regret that the president has embraced the radical program of left-wing groups that has been erroneously called the Civil Rights Bill. It is still a vicious assault on the Constitution, and we in the Senate intend to fight this bill with our boots on to the last ditch. Beginning today, we will filibuster this bill. Let the real war begin.
Bird has me on a diet. Got Zephyr in there in the kitchen weighing my plate for every meal. Ridiculous. Pork chops are just an excuse for gravy. Without gravy, I don't see the point, do you? Might as well eat cardboard.
Your wife just doesn't want to see you get too big for your britches. An entirely understandable concern.
I think I'll go see how Zephyr's coming with that cobbler.
Pretty slick what you did with Jim's committee, getting that bill out.
Everything I know I learned from you, Dick.
I also taught you something about party loyalty.
Party's changing. We gotta change with it. This younger generation, they're not gonna fall on their swords for segregation. They want to be re-elected. If you think they're gonna stay with you to the end, you're gonna be disappointed.
If you think all Southerners are going to start dancing to your tune, you're the one who's going to be disappointed. Wallace almost won Maryland.
But he didn't.
But he almost did. Times all changed, but maybe not the way you think.
It doesn't have to be like this, Dick.
You're thinking you can cut a deal with Dirksen, aren't you?
If you filibuster the center, what choice do you leave me? Allow the bill to come to a vote.
The Democratic president ignoring his own party and making a deal with Senate Republicans.
You don't get all high and mighty with me. You and those conservative Republicans been cutting deals for years. That's how you denutted every civil rights bill that's come down the pipe. But now I can't cross the aisle. We don't have to fight, Dick.
Some people will eventually yield to overwhelming odds and stop fighting. I won't.
Coming for you, Dick. I love you more than my own daddy, but I will crush you.
I regret that the president has embraced the radical program of left-wing groups that erroneously is called the Civil Rights Bill. It is a vicious assault on the Constitution, and we in the Senate intend to fight this bill with our boots on to the last ditch. Beginning today, we will filibuster this bill. Let the real war begin.
Sorry, Dick.
No, you're not.
It's nothing personal, Dick. Just politics.
I think I recall you telling Leland Old something like that just after he cut his balls off with a rusty hacksaw. It's the passing of an era.
Yes, it is.
Passing of a time of etiquette, courtesy. Passing of a time of principles, like party unity.
You know what the old soldier said when he was on parade? Hey, look, everybody. Everyone's out of step but me.
Maybe. I am old, and God knows I'm tired, but the fellas coming up behind me are utterly without principles of any kind, and you see how you like working with them. You'll miss me when I'm gone.
I still need you, Dick.
I'm still here, Mr. President. But the rest of Dixie, I think you might have just killed your election chances.
Sorry, Dick.
No, you're not.
It's nothing personal, Dick. It's just politics.
I think I recall you telling Leland Old something like that just after you cut his balls off with a rusty hacksaw. It's the passing of an era.
Yes, it is.
The passing of a time of etiquette, courtesy. The passing of a time of principles, like party unity.
You know what the old soldier said when he was on parade? Hey, look, everybody's out of step but me.
Maybe. I am old and God knows I'm tired, but the fellas coming up behind me are utterly without principles of any kind, and you see how you like working with them. You miss me when I'm gone.
Still need you, Dick.
I'm still here, Mr. President, with the rest of Dixie. I hope you haven't ruined your election chances. Hi, I'm Carl Palmer. I'm 6'1" and I'm with Kazarian Measures Ruskin.